Hello everyone, I am Alian Parvala and today we have very special guest. We are excited to have Miss Maxine with us, the inspiring founder and CEO of Pick My Brain. Miss Maxine is on a mission to connect people in meaningful and impactful with strong background is in economics and experience like the International Institute for Sustainable Development and Queen's University, she brings a unique perspective to the table today. We will dive into her journey, the challenge she faced, and her vision for the future of global connectivity. Let's get started. So, welcome, Miss, and how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. I'm calling in from Arizona, Phoenix today.
Great, thank you so much. So, first of all, I am very thankful to you to coming in my show and giving your time. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
All right. So, before moving on the question, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, you just did, but I'll supplement that. So, my name's Maxine. I am the CEO of founder of Pick My Brain. That's my main go-to, my main where I spend most of my time. But I'm also an economist, an investor, a storyteller, a community leader. That's super passionate about bringing the world's people together in new and creative ways, making the world's people a little bit more open, available, and accessible so we can share a little bit more knowledge with each other.
All right. Thank you so much for this introduction. So, my first question in your screen, can you share the inspiration behind founding Pick My Brain and how the idea come to life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there was a bunch of things that led up to it. I think my whole life, from junior high to high school to university, I was kind of the person that would invite everyone together to hang out, different groups of my friends together, my math friends, my sports friends, my art friends, and I would host these parties because I would really like to bring all of them together. And I just saw the benefit of that, in cross pollinating my friend groups. And I never ever was ever in one friend group. I love to be part of multiple groups. I was never like the basketball kid. I played basketball, volleyball, badminton, golf, etc., and had friends in each of them. But I always wanted to bring them together. So I feel like there's an element of the inspiration in me understanding what benefit it was to bring different people, in different groups and cultures together. I saw just like so much value in that. Um, Fast forward, after university, after I worked as an economist for 6 years at the International Institute for Sustainable Development, I started to get a little bit frustrated with the world. And back then, I was actually probably the second inspiration was a site called Couchsurfing. There was this website called couchsurfing.org, and you could go on it and you could, browse all these people who have signed up to either share their house with you for free. So you could travel the world and sleep on people's couches or their spare rooms. Or you could list yours and let people know that you were open to receive them if they needed a space to stay. And so I use this site a lot, and what I loved about it is it allowed me to, when I was staying at a stranger's house in a different country, very quickly connect, and build trust. And I just learned so much. I probably stayed on like 100 couches and had, like, people stay on mine. And in doing so, I just built up this global network of friends, and learned so much about the world, more than I could ever learn reading. And I just got so excited when a new guest would either book at my house or I would go at theirs, and the opportunity to like really understand each other, and spend a bunch of time together. And my friends thought I was a bit crazy for doing it because they're like, "That's really scary, Max. That's for free. Like, what if you get someone you don't like? What if like you're in their house?" A lot of fear. And I was like, "Oh, that's so interesting." Like, I didn't have any fear about it because I just like trust people implicitly. But I understood their feeling of not knowing how to deal with a free couch as an economist. When people don't have something to pay for, they feel uncomfortable. And so I said, "Oh, someone should come along and monetize this." Sorry, there's a lawnmower in the background. And of course, Airbnb did. And I was one of the very first users of Airbnb back in the day, very early on. And when I saw Airbnb's model, a marketplace that charged for a shared asset that allowed anyone in the world to come into your home. And I saw that it made my friends much more comfortable. And I just felt very early on that this company was going to change the world. I was like, this is the perfect model. This is a model that benefits all stakeholders, that allows this new economy to exist. This is going to turn so many people into entrepreneurs. This is going to build trust around the world. This is an economic, environmental, and social win, sharing our assets with each other. They just formalized it. And so actually, when I was like, who made this company? And I learned that it was the three founders, the three guys that were my age at the time. And I read their story, and they were just three design kids that decided to pitch this idea after they discovered couchsurfing was awesome, basically. And I just got really, really inspired, and I was like, this is where I need to be. I need to create something like this. There's no impact. I've never seen such impact before in my career as an economist. I was just very drawn to it. And so I quit my job 2 weeks after discovering Airbnb, and gave myself a year on to just think about these different models, about bringing people together. And it was on that journey, that year on, where I had complete creative freedom to just think and be and notice and observe and experience, that I was like, wow, could I build an Airbnb but for knowledge? My mom was retiring at the time. She didn't know how to share her knowledge. I wanted to talk to a variety of people, but I could never get in touch with them. And I was like, I wonder if I could monetize knowledge. And then I was like, oh my goodness, like that is the next economy, the knowledge economy. How do we go about building and sharing wisdom? A lot of it goes just stays in our head. Not everyone can put it online. So anyways, that was the source of the inspiration. And when I thought of that idea, I was like, okay, well, I got to go see if people are willing to pay for knowledge, right? Are people willing to do that? And so I launched my very first knowledge offer, and it was called Coffee and Conversation with a Vancouver startup founder. And I charged $50, and to my surprise, 50 people from around the world booked and paid me for that coffee. And so I knew I had something, and it was the power of those conversations. They were so deep and meaningful, and that offer attracted people from all around the world, just like similarly Pick My Brain allowed you, someone I met once in Pakistan, to reach out again and schedule this interview, right? Like, think without Pick My Brain, it'd be very hard to do. It'd get lost in my LinkedIn DMs because my LinkedIn DMs are gross. There's just so many bots in there, and I can't decipher them anymore. And so anyways, after I realized that these offers attracted people who were really interested in connecting, I was like, okay, I've got a business. And that's when I went all in.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this wonderful answer, Miss. So, how does my brain aim to connect people in impactful ways?
How does Pick My Brain aim to connect people in impactful ways? Well, we give people a very easy opportunity to both browse our global knowledge exchange database. We've got 13,000 people from 88 countries who've signed up because they like the idea of sharing knowledge. So number one, it gives people an easy opportunity to browse those people and know that all those people are open, like that they have expressed interest, that you can connect with them. So I don't know about you, it's hard for me to, it's not very easy to connect with people from different cultures or industries or ages or backgrounds. The algorithm on the internet doesn't expose me to that. It's difficult to express my interest in getting to know people that are outside my world. So anyways, the database, the marketplace, gives you an opportunity, just like Airbnb does, to stay at anyone's home. Pick My Brain gives you an opportunity to talk to anybody in the marketplace. And then on the other side, also, if you want to be someone on the site that shares their knowledge, it makes it really easy for you to list and say, dear world, I'm totally open for anyone who might want to talk or exchange knowledge or know my story.
All right. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced while starting Pick My Brain, and how did you overcome them?
Well, for those who are startup founders, they know that everything is challenging because you're starting a new idea from scratch. You have to validate that idea. You have to go get resources. Startups are inherently challenging, so everything was challenging. But it was also driven from like complete passion. So the challenges were worth it. If you sign up to hike Everest and you don't like hiking, it's going to be painful the entire way. But if you sign up to hike Everest and you absolutely love hiking, then the training is going to be hard and very challenging, but you're going to enjoy it. And that's the same way I felt about Pick My Brain. I think the evolution of like having such a new idea and concept, you have to really put yourself out there all the time. You have to share your idea. You have to connect with a bunch of people around the world. You have to be not shy. You have to get really comfortable asking people for help. That's not very easy for a lot of people. You have to ask people for money. We raised $1.1 million and I've never raised before. And it's consistently challenging to raise money because you're trying to convince someone with money that you've got like this incredible idea. And we were able to do that, but it took me a long time to learn how to do that and to write the right terms and to figure out the legal and the paperwork that needs to be done to raise money and all that comes behind it. Yeah, I mean, there's like, as a founder as well, you go a long time without paying yourself. I left a very good job as an environmental economist for an incredible organization and went, 3 to 5 years without consistent salary. That's very challenging, especially as a woman, in her 30s. So getting really creative about using my Pick My Brain profile to make money in the beginning actually pushed and supported me in that, but not easy to make your own money at the start. And then when you figure out kind of how to do it, you're like, oh, I don't need to work for anybody. So again, the challenges were all worth it. But yeah, those were some of the main ones.
Okay, amazing. So, can you talk about your time at the International Institute for Sustainable Development and its impact on your career?
So the International Institute for Sustainable Development is this incredible organization. It's a research think tank that uses policy as a mechanism to support advancements in sustainable development. So I was given the opportunity to travel the world and do research for different countries in pursuit of getting countries to collaborate when it comes to being more sustainable. You can't have, only 50% of the countries on board with being sustainable and 50% not, because the planet is one. But a lot of countries are very different and a lot of cultures are very different, and getting them at the table to have those conversations is very difficult. So I think what supported me in working at that company was really understanding the nuance of the variety of perspectives that exist. The perspective of someone from a developing country and a developed country, I came across a lot. I'd sit at these negotiation tables and you'd have countries that, Pakistan is a developing country, Canada is a developed country. They both have very different resources. They have both different initiatives. And so just sitting at that table and trying to find a way to benefit both stakeholders in alignment with a mission taught me a lot that supported me at Pick My Brain. I think I might have lost you. You still there? I'm just going to pause for a sec. Are you still there? Oh. Still coming through?
Doing economic debts work entail and how does it align with your mission?
So Doing Economics That Works was a company I started. It was a consulting company, and it was all about figuring out how to monetize the unquantifiable. So what is the value of a tree? What is the value of giving someone healthcare benefits? What is the value of an ecosystem and an animal? If these things aren't valued, which typically they're not in society, they don't go accounted for. And therefore, they're written out as unimportant. And that's why we find ourselves in a planet that has more deforestation that is healthy and loss of biodiversity that is in the extreme amounts. And so that company allowed me to think about how to put a price on things that you don't normally put a price on but are important. So what is the value of a conversation with someone? It inspires you. It gives you energy. It gives you ideas. It gives you someone to collaborate with in the future. It gives you a different perspective. What is that worth? That's worth a lot. How do I value that? And so doing economics that works put me in the mindset of like learning how to think about the world and what is the value of things that don't have a price.
All right. So, how did your academic background in economics from the University of Alberta and Queen's University shape your professional journey?
So much. Again, very similar to doing economics that works. Economics gave me the baseline to see the world in like the question. Economics is, why do people do what they do? How can I use price to influence your behavior? And how do I allocate scarce resources equitably? And combining all those things on a micro and a macro level gave me the foundations to see the world like I do. My lens, when I see the world, I just see it in marketplace. I see how I can distribute knowledge, which is not a scarce resource. It's abundant. But how do I do it? How do I do it equitably and globally? How can I use price to influence people's behavior? How can I put a price and a value on spending time with someone and learning their insights and their wisdom? Why do people do what they do? How can I expand someone's awareness so much in one conversation that for the rest of their life they have an idea that something else exists for them? One conversation can change your life, and it does. One conversation has changed my life. It changes my life consistently. All throughout this journey, I've had people that have called me, and I'm in Arizona because of a conversation. I went to Pakistan because of one conversation. I went to Dubai. I've traveled the world because of conversations. I've raised money because of conversations. I've changed my opinion about things because of conversations. I've met new people that I never would have otherwise met because of conversations. And so, yeah, just seeing the world with an economist's lens. And I think a lot of people think of economics very differently than I see it. They're like, oh, you're an economist? That's so weird. I just like picture accountants. And I'm like, economics is such a creative way to value the world and exchange goods. And so that's what I'm doing with Pick My Brain is like, I'm figuring out how to create an entirely new economy, just like Airbnb did by monetizing a shared asset. We're monetizing space in your brain and gifting it and seeing what world that opens up. So it was everything. I've only got
Okay, great. So,
three more minutes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then yeah. Give me your best questions. I've got another
Yeah.
meeting. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
Like,
understand. So how can all right. So it's my last question. How can individual leverage platform like Pick My Brain to enhance their personal and professional growth?
Yeah, well, I am so proud of you for using the platform to connect, you reached out and now we're having an interview. So I love supporting youth as well. How old are you?
15.
15. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like I was not interviewing people at 15 from around the world. Like straight up that right there, we could have a conversation about how every kid should go interview at least 10 people from around the world at different jobs and ask them a series of questions just like you're doing. I think you could inspire a movement actually, where what's going to set the youth apart more than anyone, what's going to give them a competitive advantage at 15 is starting to build their global network. That's nuts. So that's one way, right? Very hard for a student to reach out and connect with people they don't know, right? LinkedIn, you'll get ignored because you don't have value to the person, but you do. So I would, if I were you, I think that's an incredible movement. And I really like starting things that I believe. I believe that every youth should have at least 10 conversations every year to figure out who they are and what they want to be, and to expand their perspective outside just their parents and their family's viewpoints. That's nuts. I feel like that's a movement, and if you ever want to start it, I'm totally down to starting that. So that's one way. That's going to advance your personal and professional growth more than a lot of things. It's gonna, and if you keep at it, if you're like, I'm going to book one person from Pick My Brain every month, and I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions, and I'm going to engage with them, and I'm not just going to ask, I'm going to share my experiences too. You will build relationships that will last a lifetime. In doing so, you'll also start to expand your scope as to what is possible for your life. What do you want for your life? What's important to you? In order to answer that question, you have to have a number of collisions with the world's people and know what's possible. And that's one of the biggest things I learned when I came to Pakistan, actually, is how many youth there are in the country. First of all, there's like 70% of your country is under the age of 30, which is incredible. But how hungry they were for perspective. They didn't have a lot of the people that I met didn't have access to talk to people from different industries and countries. And that limitation in perspective limits your mindset and limits your growth mindset and limits your possibility frontier. And I was like, okay, I think I went to Pakistan. Someday I'm going to circle back and be like, we just need to get everyone to talk to, I have this mission. I'm like, everyone in the world just needs to talk to 10 people a year. And they just need to ask them 10 questions. That's it. And the world will change. Everything will change if we just can all agree to do that. We will be more open and available to each other. We will be more empathetic towards one another. Opportunities will come to collaborate like no other. Everything starts with a conversation. Everything. So if you know that, and you know you want to have a worldview, and you want to have a strong perspective, and you want to maximize your potential for success, you're going to do that exponentially if you talk to more people. So we're just about to launch a program at Pick My Brain that gives people an opportunity to sign up for a challenge called Meet the World's People. And it's a challenge where you have to meet a certain amount of people within a year and write all the things you've learned down. And we're going to invite hundreds and thousands of people to play that game. And then we're going to see what it does. And we're going to interview people at the end. Okay, who did you meet? What did you learn? It's crazy. Like, I've had 2,000 conversations on Pick My Brain now, and it's the knowledge that I've accumulated from this platform alone far supersedes anything I've learned in university. University is still very important. I needed that foundational knowledge, but it did not expand my perspective outside of the discipline I studied. Pick My Brain expands my perspective like crazy. My intuition is so strong because of it. My ability to connect with any people from different ages, cultures, backgrounds, that, to me, that's power. I can relate to anybody now because I've practiced so much conversation and connection. And it's very hard to practice that. So that's what I think. That's what I'll end on, is like, if you want to be someone that is very interesting and has a world perspective and expands what's possible for them, talk to more people. And if you don't know how to talk to more people, go on Pick My Brain and book people. They're all there because they want to talk, and they're fascinating. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Miss, for this wonderful answer, and thank you so much, Miss, for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us today. Your passion for connecting people and fostering meaningful relationships is truly inspiring. We appreciate the valuable lesson and advice you provided to our listener. Be sure to follow Miss Maxine work on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and explore Pick My Brain to see how you can connect with the brilliant mind around the world. Thank you so much, Miss, again for your time.
Thank you so much for booking me and
Thank
sharing
you.
this knowledge.
Bye.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye.